Hey, good day to everybody. Rob Mazak here. I am a psychic medium. Some of you know who I am, some of you don't. However, I usually talk about different metaphysical type services and experiences here in a very unscripted format. I'm not much to follow an outline or anything like that. Just want to speak from the heart as much as I can. Anyway, just a interesting thought I had this evening as I was out walking. I am deployed down south in Texas for some of these border issues, and anyway, very close to Mexico. And I was out walking down the highway right outside of where I'm stationed at, and so I get down to the end of the highway, and literally the highway just ends about, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile down the road. Big fences up, stop signs, government warnings, and I guess not everybody has run into those highways that end and go nowhere, right? And this one's there probably for good reason, because it's not far from that particular end is actually the river that crosses over into Mexico. So I guess that's why they don't have the highway that keeps going, right? However, it made me think of something a little bit more about life instead. And so, a lot of us go through life and we have this wonderful plan. We have this great idea and everything is going like it should. We're driving down the highway. We're cruising along, maybe some traffic, maybe not some traffic, but we're making good progress and we're doing well. And then, in this case, all of a sudden, it abruptly ends. Suddenly, we are stopped in our tracks, and the path that we are on, that we're traveling on, suddenly comes to an end. And then, what do? This is where decision points in life happen a lot. How many times have we been on a path, going to college, doing training, planning for a wedding, all these kind of things just in life, and we run into these big roadblocks. The highway ends. And it is frustrating. But I think this is what life is about, because when you get to the end of a path, and it interrupts the flow that you were planning on. As we know in life, plans don't always work and usually don't. And so we have a decision to make. Do we stop? Do we turn around and just tuck our tail and go back to where we came from? Oh, the road is ended. Life is over. My plan is done. I thought it was going so well. Now I got this big roadblock. I can't go anywhere. So in a case like this, as I look across the barricades and the fence, I wonder, should I maybe backtrack a little bit and try a different route? That's a possibility. Maybe the route I was on was not taking me exactly where I needed to go. And sometimes that is the case. And sometimes we might think we're heading in the right direction, but apparently the universe has decided to teach us a lesson and go, no, that's not exactly where you should be going. So, that's a thought too. And I thought about that too. So in this case, I could backtrack about, I don't know, quarter of a mile, take a right, head down another road, another highway. Guess where it ends? Same thing. Ends up in a barricaded fence at the end of a highway that goes nowhere except through the brush and eventually to the river to Mexico. Once again, we are stopped, or I am stopped. And so, I know people that will stop when they run into one roadblock and they just give up, lay down. That's it. I'm done. And then other people will try different routes and different roads. And then sometimes they run into closures and roadblocks and closed doors and missed opportunities and missteps and all that. many times, and then, and then sometimes it takes a while for people to give up. But sometimes it's easy just to go back home, have a warm meal, sit in a nice cool house, watch some TV, hang out with the family, whatever, instead of really going after what it is that you were initially intending to do. That happens to us in life a lot. But the other thought I had as I was standing there looking across that barrier is, maybe, just maybe, this roadblock is set up in my life to see how dedicated I am. Perhaps my goal is to go over to the river and keep going. And perhaps that's where my goal is leading me, right? Metaphorically speaking, of course. But sometimes we have to look at roadblocks in that way, in a way that perhaps maybe this is a hurdle that we need to learn to overcome, get past, dig in, climb over, go around, go under, figure out a way. Because nothing that comes easy it doesn't have some kind of struggle really feels like it's worth it. If it's easy and it just comes to you whenever you want it to, you don't have much invested in it. But when you have to put some blood, sweat, and tears in to get around a barrier or over a hurdle or through some kind of large roadblock in your life, then it means something to you, right? And so sometimes you need to leave the path that's taken by many, many people and forge yourself a whole new path. Because let's face it, nobody ever created new things or did great things in this world, in our history, by following the same path that everybody else did. Because guess what? If you follow the same road, the same path that everybody else does, you will end up the same place, same outcome as they do. I'm not saying it's bad, don't get me wrong. Not everybody is out to, conquer the world or, go after some massive goal. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. There's something to be said about finding somebody that you emulate, following their steps and their path, maybe because perhaps you would like to be where they are or where they have ended up. And so sometimes in there's lessons for that. But at the same time, I think many of us are really taking a road or a highway and we don't even really know where we're going. And that makes it even worse when we run across a roadblock, because when we know where we're going, where we're trying to go, those roadblocks really get, kind of unnerving and irritating, But those that are really going after goals and they have high achievements, they know they're going to run into roadblocks. They know they're going to have these problems and they expect them. And so they're a little more prepared when this decision comes. I'm not saying you need to be, jump into a decision and make a really rash choice. But, it is time to make a decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to take another route? Are you going to forge straight through? You're going to find another way around it, under it, over it? Who knows, right? But many of us in this life today are just eating, sleeping, working, and dying. Just going through life, driving down a highway, and have no earthly idea where we're going, why we're here, and what it is that we want out of life. And I get it. I'm 62, and I still, like I tell many people, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I am learning everything I possibly can. I recently got a lot of different licenses and training. I'm in training again. I'm doing more training, and it's just, for me, it's a learning life, and that is my goal, is to learn everything I possibly can. That seems like a very indirect goal. I get it, but there is some big goals out there, and all these things that I'm working on really do play into that. But sometimes you got to remember that it's not always the big highway we have to be on either. Sometimes we got to take the side roads, the little streets, the short drives, and maybe change cars, change vehicles, change passengers, change directions. I mean, it's a journey, but you know how it is when you go out of your house every morning, you almost always know where you're going to go. I'm heading to work. I'm heading to the grocery store. I'm heading to my friend's house. I'm going out to the club. You have a destination in mind. You pop that phone up there and GPS, and dial it in, and it takes you there. And guess what? If you make a wrong turn, it'll redirect you. Why don't we do that in our life? Why don't we set ourselves a goal? And if we get turned around, if we hit a roadblock, if we run into problems, get a flat tire, so to speak, run out of gas, car gets repossessed, whatever. Why don't we just change it up, change our route, change our method? Why are we giving up so easy? Life is not going to be easy. It never has and never will be. It's just simply not going to be. And it's just not designed to be, because for any greatness to occur, you must go through some kind of struggle. You don't get pressure without diamonds. You don't get diamonds without pressure. Phew, messed that one up, didn't I? And, you have to go through it to get to it. It's just no other way around it. To me, living a life by playing it safe and just getting by and doing the least that you can, hopefully you won't get fired, because you're doing as little as possible and they're paying you just enough to keep you from quitting. That's not really a life, to live Monday through Friday, waiting on the weekends, drink beer all weekend, start over, right? I don't know about you, but I think there's more to life than just working and doing all the ordinary things. I think we're all capable of very extraordinary things. And I think the hard part really is figuring that out, because honestly, the main reason people don't achieve their dreams or achieve their goals is because they simply don't have any. And I get it. Our world is really going crazy. All you have to do is look around, watch the news a little bit, and there's just some god awful things happening in this world, and debt is forever high, and money's tight, and the economy's going crazy, and there's wars everywhere. And I get it. There's a lot of distractions, but to be honest, unless that's in your house, in your face, really, to me, I don't mean to be coy, but what business is that of yours? You have to set goals. You have to set your life in motion and move forward, because without individual people changing, this world will never change. Because all these things that are going on, it's not going to happen by Superman rolling in or anything like that. It's little incremental changes that we make within ourselves, because everybody on this planet, in this universe, is intimately connected. Just like the sea. Without all the individual drops in the sea, there would be no sea. And so, but the thing is that every drop affects every other part of the sea. And so if we want change, if that's what we're after, then we have to start with ourselves. Looking at others to change it, or looking at some catastrophic or massive change, across the planet, it's likely not going to happen. And so I really challenge everybody to look at what it is you really want to get out of life. And it doesn't have to be anything glorious or magnificent, winning the Super Bowl or being a soccer star or going to the moon. It could be very simple. It's what drives you. It's what excites you. It just makes you want to get up every morning and go after it. And really, you're going to have to prioritize your time secondly, because I hear it all the time. I don't have enough time. Oh, really? You don't have enough time? Let's see. What do you do with your time? Well, you sit down and watch TV for 3 hours. You go out with the boys, drinking beer, every weekend. You watch 4 hours of football. On and on and on. There's time for everything that you put as a priority in your life. Trust me, you can find a way to do it. We sleep 1/3 of our lives if we sleep 8 hours a day, ideally. 1/3 of our lives, and we think we can take time off to put our goals and our desires to the side. To me, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because that is the one thing we all have in common, people, is time. The billionaire and the bum, we all have 24 hours a day. What's the difference? There you go, right? If we all have the same amount of time, why couldn't we get just as much as the next guy, or even greater than the next guy? It's because we are not prioritizing what we desire, what our goals are, where we're moving in life, right? And so I really do challenge you guys maybe to sit down, be honest with yourself, and write out your schedule. Write out your schedule, and look at how much time you're wasting on stuff that doesn't have anything to do with where you want to go in life, right? And so, trust me, I know it's easy to get wrapped up in TikTok and all these things. Really, really easy to do, especially after a hard day, right? But the other thing you got to do is you got to look at all those habits that are not necessarily feeding you, feeding your body, feeding your mind. I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol at all. And don't get me wrong, I have, many, many years ago. But, I think that having a clear mind is essential to having a successful life, whatever you consider successful. But, and to muddy it up with alcohol and drugs and all these things, I think is just downright wrong, in my opinion, because your mind is such a powerful thing, and here we are dumbing it down. Anyway, I shall digress on that, right? However, once you've decided what it is you really want to go for, whatever that is, really look at what you're doing with your time, looking at your habits. Also, this body that you have is the only thing you have to carry you through life. This is it, to navigate your 75, 80 years, however long you're going to be here, right? And if you don't take care of it, you are not ever going to be able to truly be successful like you might have planned, right? Your big ideas are not going to go anywhere if you don't have the vessel to travel in. And so I also challenge you to begin to exercise, watch what you eat, and really try to give yourself a vehicle that can actually carry you properly. I think we take much better care of our cars and our pets than we do ourselves. We want to make sure we have the best gas in our car, the best oil in our car, the top of the line tires, right? The best tune-up, all that stuff. We want to make sure our dogs are eating the right amount of food and the right types of food and going to the vet and getting their shots and all these things. Yet if you look at most humans' lives, we don't do that, right? And so if we're not taking care of ourselves, there is nothing really that you're going to be able to do that's all that great. I don't know if I said that right. It's hard to say sometimes, but you must take care of yourself. You really do, right? And so anyway, that's kind of my thoughts is that, we really need to figure out why we're here. And even if we can't figure out why we're here, we need to come up with a why. We need to figure out what it is that we want to do and put a why behind it. Because if without a why, what's the point, right? Wake up every morning and you're going after a goal. You might think about, taking care of your wife, taking care of your grandmother, your kids, all those people that count on you to be successful. Keep them in the back of your mind every time you want to stop, you want to fail, nobody wants to fail. When you feel like giving up, that you got to have that picture in your mind of those that are there, that are counting on you. And I think that's where a lot of people really kind of misstep, and when they're looking at success is they don't give themselves a big enough why. Give yourself a why. And it doesn't, once again, it doesn't have to be anything magnificent. It could simply be, that you want to, uh, let's see, how would I put that? You want revenge. And sometimes the best revenge is massive success. It's not getting even. It's not punishing somebody for what they've done. But sometimes the best revenge is to become so successful that it just kind of negates all of that anyway, right? So there's a lot of different types of motivation. There's negative motivation, positive motivation, whatever it is that motivates you. I like I said, I'm 62, and I want to get that six-pack back. Sitting here at this camp, and all this food that's not the greatest. It kind of puts a few lbs on, right? And so I have to work harder than the young people to get that back. But at the same time, I put that in front of me, right? I have the. You got to put that out there. You got to, I have pictures on my wall of what it is I would like to look like. I have goals, and I have ideas and vision boards and dream boards, or whatever you want to call it, up there. So I'm seeing it every day. I'm putting it in my vision. I'm putting it in my mind. You got to remind yourself daily, why am I doing this, and what am I doing? And basically, we got to quit waking up like we're an accident, because we're not an accident. We're put into this life for some reason, and I truly don't believe it's just to survive and to eat and buy stuff and live for the weekends. I just don't believe that, right? And it doesn't really matter what you believe in per se. You might believe in God, you might believe in Allah, you might believe in a lot of different things, but that doesn't really, I don't think that the difference in who you believe in really makes any difference in success. You should have some type of belief system that drives you, right? Something that outside of yourself that you can be, what's the right word? Responsible to, right? Accountable to, right? And also you can do that in your own life with people in your life, because not everybody's self-motivated. I'm pretty self-motivated, but not everybody is, right? And so sometimes we need that accountability partner. And let's be honest, men and women, it generally can't be your spouse, because most of us think that our spouses are just nagging at us, right? Although they just want the best good for us. But honestly, having an accountability partner, somebody that you are responsible to, that's outside of any relationships, close relationships, is probably a better idea. Get yourself coach, get yourself counselor, whatever it is that you were trying to learn, get somebody that knows that better than you and learn from them. Get some education, take some classes, go to seminars, get online. I mean, the internet is free. There's ungodly amounts of information out there for you. You don't have to go looking for any special class, special schooling, spend a lot of money. Oh my gosh, you can go on YouTube or some of these other places and just, learn so much. And there's really no excuses anymore today. There really isn't. I'm just going to be honest and straight. There is not any excuse why you can't be who you want to be, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some things that are physically impossible for you to do. I get it. But by and large, if you choose to do something and put it out in front of you, give yourself priorities, give yourself a why, take care of yourself, do all those things, you can generally get what you want out of life, right? And sometimes along the way, you realize that maybe that wasn't it. But the best part about trying to shoot for a goal is not the goal itself, not the achievement. It is the process. It is the journey. Just like building a fire, right? You can't light the logs, huge logs, with a match and get going and have your dream instantly. You have to start with kindling, small stuff, little sticks, leaves, slowly adding bigger and bigger sticks until you have this big roaring fire. But as we all know, if you don't keep stoking the fire, keep adding to the fire, keeping the dream alive, that thing's going to die out. And so just because you have a goal in mind does not mean that that's the end of it. Success is really the journey, and that is the best part. Once you reach the top of a hill, it's time to take another one. It's time to continue to improve and to grow and to really dig in and figure out who you are and push yourself. Like I said, if there's no pressure, there's no diamonds. So we are here to grow. We're here to learn. I can't believe that whoever created us just threw us in here like some museum piece and in an ant farm or something of the sort. And let's see what happens when we, turn the sun up or something. I don't believe that. I'm not speaking for you. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I just can't imagine this complex human body and mind that we have was created by accident or without purpose. Anyway, like I said, totally unscripted. I probably moved around all over the place a little bit, but I think you get the point, right? Once again, let's quit waking up by accident. Let's live our lives on purpose and grow as a human being and do something more with our lives than just eating, working, sleeping, and dying. I challenge you to. I double dare you to. Anyway, I shall digress. Namaste. Have an awesome day. Talk to you soon.